The ongoing fishing row between the French and the UK. Overnight, 18 new fishing licences have been granted to the EU by the British government, allowing more boats to fish in our waters after a deadline for talks between the UK and the EU that was set by France passed without an agreement on Friday.
Well, the government in Jersey has also issued a further 5 licences for EU boats. However, the French President Emmanuel Macron has been left embarrassed after his government's demand for 104 permits was denied, as tensions between the French and the British continue to persist.
Well, joining us now is someone who could be directly affected by the newly issued licences. Fisherman Paul Lines. A very good morning to you, Paul. What's your take on this latest development then? First of all, a deadline being set by the French, even though we're not in the European Union anymore, so they don't have the authority to impose deadlines on us. And it sort of came and went, but a few more licences have been granted.
Well, that's capitulation. I mean, there's a set rules. You had to have track record of fishing in them areas and between 2012 and 2016. But they claimed they changed their boots. Well, in England, grandfather rights disappear if you change your boot. The circumstances was with that boot, you changed it, so you're out of them circumstances. These boots they changed them with, they might be 300 or 400 horsepower more. But I mean, the government keep capitulating to the bullying tactics of the French, and they'll win nothing like that. Boris Johnson is just a complete and utter liar. He tells us he's going to protect the British fishing industry, but they're frittering it away. Few licences here, few licences there. And in the end, we'll end up that there won't be a living for British boats. And another thing, they keep giving these licences away. I know a lot of young people trying to get a licence to start a fishing business here, and they have to pay thousands and thousands of pounds over to buy a licence. Now, how can he keep giving this stuff away?
I mean, it's been quite interesting, though, Paul, hasn't it? How, I mean, the French have turned all this in their favour in the sense of they've got all the focus on themselves and their grievances rather than the UK. I mean, I know there were quite a lot of fishermen protesting in St Helier yesterday, weren't there? Because, I mean, they say they still can't get licences to land in Europe.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, Lord Frost come back and says he's got a deal. Well, what did we get in this deal? What was our part of this deal? Because what I can say of this, they're just caving in to bully boy tactics, capitulation at every hurdle. They said they've got to stand firm. There's no standing firm from our negotiators. They just give in and cave in to their every whim. Either they meet the criteria, but I did read a report that it was a goodwill gesture. Now, what that's easier to do, that's easier for them to give them licences than actually face the fact that they'll throw their arms up in the air and block the ports and block the tunnel and make it difficult over Christmas. So what they do is keep giving them a food, giving them a food, giving them a food. Before you know what's happened, the 150 licences will be awarded and we'll have got nothing out of it. You've got to remember, every boat that come and fish in our waters is less fish for British boats to catch.
I mean, you call it capitulation, as you say, the government say it's a goodwill gesture. I mean, the last thing the government wants in the wider context, because, of course, fishing is just a kind of micro problem that's emerged from the divorce from the European Union,
well,
if you like.
In my life,
let me just make the point, and I want to hear your views, but, you know, it is a micro issue when we look at Northern Ireland and the protocol there as well. The UK can't afford to enter into a trade war, so the acts of goodwill are arguably quite important.
But quite honestly, has that government got the right to throw people's livelihoods away? Because that's what they did in the Trade and Cooperation Agreement. That man came to Lowestoft and he promised us we'd be taking back full control, and his exact words were, we'll get these Johnny foreigners out of our waters once and for all. Yeah, we've seen some of Boris Johnson. He's weak, weak, weak. And his negotiators are told, give in to him, give in to him. But the trouble of it is, there's people, that's 100% of their life fishing, and all they're doing is frittering it away to the point where English people won't bother to fish. They'll have to give up because there won't be a living there for them. Well, that situation is not an independent coastal state, is it? We're a poodle state. We are still controlled by Europe, and we'll keep giving it.
Okay, look, Paul, it's really good to talk to you, and obviously there's so much passion behind what you have to say. Thanks very much indeed.
Well, you know, I'm 63 years old, and I want to carry on living and see a prosperous industry for English people. Because we're in a devolved fisheries, we can only talk about English circumstances because that's different. But I mean,
well, I'll tell you what, Paul. Next time we get a minister on, we're going to put that to them and see if we can get some answers for you.